Hello, and welcome to a new little project here. So this is going to be linked to the What the Clams podcast. And as usual, I am Clams. I'm trying something a little new today, just because sometimes it gets hard to get guests and stuff on the show. Not necessarily get them on, but just to link up time and stuff. Everybody has lives and stuff like that. So I'm kind of thinking about trying to do these here and there, kind of testing this out. We'll see how the audio turns out. 100% test run for this. What I'm doing is I've got a little setup I created here in my car. Got the mic all set up. Everything's all hands free. On my way to school, I kind of think this is an opportunity for me to just kind of connect a little bit more as myself, a little bit more solo projects and stuff like that. So one of the things I want to start with today is, as hard as it is as well, it's also like an achievement, and I'm starting to see things in a different light. Today is the day. It's been 18 years since my mother passed away, and today is the first day that the first time I should say, sober during this time. I do a lot of journaling. It helps me in my recovery and helps me with my mental state. And last night I was sitting there and I did some. I like to read a lot. I read a lot of like murder mysteries and stuff like that. They get me out of my head, and I really enjoy the reading. It's helping me just, I don't know, open my mind back up, and kind of also helps me think in a different light. It also helps me with my writing and stuff as well. But after I got done reading, I was like, I'm going to do a journal entry. And all day yesterday, I just kept feeling this like ominous feeling. I kept feeling like this nervous, anxious feeling. And I'm really used to my anxiety. I've lived a lot of my life with just extreme amounts of anxiety. And from what I've talked to I guess she'd been a therapist, psychiatrist is better. I think that's what she is. I don't know, but she was able to diagnose me when I was in the treatment center with PTSD, which ties back to the whole loss of my mom and stuff. And I hadn't realized that today was that day until I went to write the date down. It was shortly after midnight. I know it's pretty kind of late staying up for a school night, but it's kind of typical for me. As long as I get about 6 hours, 7 hours of sleep, I've noticed I wake up refreshed. But I wrote down that date and it hit me like, oh shit, okay. But then instead of it being, like as before, I let it have power over me and it would destroy me in a sense. Instead of it having power over me, I was very thankful that I'm able to look at it as, it happened, and I'm able to kind of sit with it, which is new for me. And the reason I bring all this up is I want to share this light and share this moment with anybody out there listening, because everybody's had their own walk of life. Everybody's had their own turmoils, their own setbacks, their own traumas. And if I can, after 18 years, be able to see, like that's a full adult lifespan, I should say, but that's someone becoming of adulthood. And if I can, after that much time, be able to view it differently and be able to handle it in a different light, in a different manner, then anybody can. Anybody can take a step in the right direction to face things in a different way. So I hope, that you're able to look forward to the change, because if you're doing the right things and you're following the right steps, for me, I'm working my program, I'm working with my sponsor, I'm doing my steps, and it helps so much in those first couple steps, like it really opening your eyes to like, man, I really do have a problem. And then the next is, starting to ask to be restored to sanity. And that's where it's a major part, man. Like I know I've done a lot of things in a sense that were very insane, doing the exact same shit every year. I was thinking about it too in depth, and I think that's where it goes back to when I got my DUI. I really do. I think that I was probably in the middle of the beginning of that cycle again that year. It's been like 3-4 years, something like that. I think it's like 3. I don't know. It's just something I have to pay the consequences of. It has cost me job paths that I was offered. A close friend of me had offered a really well-paying job, to pretty much just be a foreman and drive around, and it would have definitely taken care of me. But because of the DUI, I can't drive the company truck because I'd have to have a CDL and stuff like that. And you got to have, that 7-year wait period before you can get that after a DUI. And so for me, I see it as a good thing because now I am where I am. That was a part of the path for me. I think what happened was I would start finally getting better towards the end of the year. The holidays come around, the anxiety hits with that, the stress of all the, making ends meet, bills, usually work starts getting a little bit more scarce. And then I hit January, and in my family, we've got a kind of a cool thing. We've got my brother's birthday, and then my niece's birthday, and then my son's birthday, all back to back to back, which I still think is really cool. It's like a family tic-tac-toe we nailed there. Then you hit the 14th, and like the layover day, and then the day that my mom passed. And I would have all those other things, all those, more positive things to be focused on, but I wasn't ever looking at them positively. I was trying to be positive, but it was more like I have to be, instead of getting to be, which I feel now. I get to be here. I get to live this. Before was I have to make it through this. I can't, I can't. There's all these negatives. I can't be depressed. I can't be fucking tearing down the happiness for other people in their lives because I'm still stuck on this past trauma for me. And I would go into the cycle again. By the time it hit this date, I would begin that turmoil all over again. The sadness would creep back in, the depression would hit in, the anxiety would skyrocket up again, and then I would begin the substance use, whether it be drinking or drugs or whatever. I would just start again, and it would always be somewhat justified, I'm not saying it is justified. I'm saying that to anyone around me, how are you really going to tell somebody no type thing when it's like, oh, my mom passed, but man, it's been fucking almost 20 years, man. I have to at some point not let that hold more power over me than I have over it. And finally, I feel more freedom, that I'm not held back by it. And it's so freeing, it's so humbling, because if it wasn't for the program I worked, for the people in that fellowship, for the people that supported me on my path to or through recovery, through recovery, and the support afterward, and you guys with this podcast. You guys don't know how much it means to me for the feedback I get, the views that I get, just the fact that anybody out there is even listening. It helps me because I like to believe in my head that someone out there, at least with some little part of what I'm saying, can connect. So it really means a lot to me for you to be a part of my recovery as well. And the sky is the limit at this point, man. Instead of everything being a setback, which I've always viewed everything as negative, I see things in a positive light, like right now I'm on my way to school. I'm on my way to a college class where I'm able to study a career path that I've always been interested in. But there was no, how do I put this? I love the aspect of studying like how, the interactions of humans and what leads us to why we do certain things, like the elements to it. Which is sociology, but there's also some psychiatry which go hand in hand together with it. It's just looking kind of at the bigger picture of why and how those things intertwine. Well, I never really had a reason, what am I going to study with it? Just because I like those concepts, what am I really trying to look at with it? And I'm thankful today to say that now I can take my experience and apply it. I'm able to take what I've been through. I want to dig deeper so that I can get a better understanding. That's what I feel like I am here to do. And if I can help while helping myself, it's a benefit. So my thought process on this particular thing, and I'm not really sure what I'm going to call it yet. I don't know if I'm going to make this an actual episode or if I'm going to make this like part of the podcast, but like a side section. I'm not really sure yet, but it might just be beneficial for me to do that, make these little small these smaller entries, to the podcast where it's just myself. I definitely like some feedback on that. If anybody would, be so kind to leave a comment, reach out to me, however it be, and let me know what you think, because this is something I think I should probably do more often. So I'll give it a test, I'll give it a run, and, see where it goes. The other thing about it too is but right now things are a little bit stressful because of financials for me. just with going to school and trying to step back from work as much, just trying to make ends meet, and everybody goes through that. But what I'm getting at with that is I'm not stressing as much as I would. Like, yes, I should be attentive to it and paying attention to it, not ignoring it, procrastinating it. But I'm able to see the bigger picture for myself now. I'm able to look at the fact that I'm doing positive things in my life, doing what I need to do, that I want to do, that aren't, getting high and drunk. I'm actually benefiting myself in attempts to benefit myself, benefit others. It's fun. It's something that changed a lot for me, and I don't know how else to put it, but I'm just so grateful for all those hard times in my life are what led me to being in this situation right now. This might go live before my next actual guest episode, and I want to shout out Gil, man. Thank you so much. Thank you so much for understanding too. We got to run it back. That's just another part of it, and I won't lie. I got so mad. I'm having an issue with when I went to the treatment center, some insurance stuff, and they sent me a very, very large bill. I was already getting pent up with that. Anger was building with that, the fear, honestly, because anger is a secondary emotion to fear. And I was getting really stressed out about that. And then I went to school, I also, before that, I got to say, I did something that I've been told a bunch to do. I did a lot in treatment, but I haven't been following through with it nearly as much as I think I should. And it's one of those things where you have all these things suggested to you that help things make things better. And then if you don't do them, they don't work, If you don't follow some of these, not all of them work for everybody. But I was thinking, like, man, I'm getting so worked up and I'm trying to do my box breathing and it's just not helping. And I was thinking, like, man, I got to leave for school. But I had enough time and I knew that. So I sat down and I made myself the time to look up and do a small meditation, just a 10-minute meditation, sit there and relax and clear my mind, because I can't go into school and really feel like I'm going to benefit myself if I'm only focused on that issue. So I did, and it really did help me. And it just goes right back to showing that some of those things that they say to do really can help. Even though in the treatment center it was like it's a controlled situation, so you're doing everything that they say, but it's hard to really apply it until you're out here in the real world. But it's remembering what those tools are and being shown how to do them and when they should work. And that was one of those times, and it did. And then I get home from my classes, and I'm like, okay, I'm going to sit down and I'm going to do this edit. We sat down and did about 80 minutes of raw recording. And I sat down to do the edit, and it's just 80 minutes of silence. And that was really a kick in the nuts, man. I won't lie. I was pretty pissed. And I decided to just take a nap, man. Like, I was getting so worked up because of the medications that I do take. It can make me really tired at times. And most of the time, I just kind of push through it. But at a time like that, it almost was beneficial that it made me tired. Because I was able to just, I'm not, exhausted. I'm not wore out. But I could use a little bit of sleep. So I laid down, I took a nap, and when I woke up, this was like 2 days ago. When I woke up, or exactly it was 3 days ago, because it was the day before. So it was on my niece's birthday, and my son had called me. I saw a missed call from my kid's mom, and so I gave her a call back, see what's going on. Well, it was my son that answered. He just turned 10. And I'm going to shout out, happy birthday, son. I know he's not going to hear this episode, but just know that your dad loves you very much, and you helped me a lot with this. And when he called me, he was just so excited to tell me about some of the stuff. His mom and his stepdad had given him some of his birthday presents a little early, given them to him that night. He was just so excited. It just made me so thankful. I thank my higher power, because that interaction with him being so happy, it makes all those other struggles not really seem as important, I got to go through those things. Is it really that important, to be, or is it really that bad to stress and worry about that edit not working, that recording not working? I was able to reach out to the guest at the time and let him know what was happening. He's like, hey, man, I get it. I'm down to record again. As much as it sucks we lost that stuff, it's whatever, At the same time, I get to spend a little bit more time with one of my good friends, man. If you guys get the chance, I'm gonna shout out early before we get to re-record. You gotta check out this guy's art, man. It is awesome. Some people call it is like he does that weird stuff. I think it's its own art style. I think it's unique. I think it's in its own artistic way. It kind of shows us like life is just art in itself. Nothing is supposed to be, not everything has to have a purpose. Not everything has to be explained in this in-depth fucking meaning. Sometimes it just is what it is. And I feel like he represents that in his art. So check out like on Instagram. I think he's on most platforms, man, but check him out. It's Fakes by Gil. I absolutely love that, man. Just such a cool mind to talk to, man. So I'm extremely excited to have him back on. Very soon, I'm going to have my sponsor come on. I'm going to have his sponsor come on as well. I also have some of my very close friends from a very rough time. I plan on having him on because he helped me through a really, really bad time in my life. And if it wasn't for him, I've got quite a few of my friends that if it wasn't for them at very key points in my life, I wouldn't be here. I think I'd probably be fucking in jail or dead, man. So I'm just so grateful for what I have available to me. And I think that this is an opportunity too, as well, for me to be able to sit by myself, record, and to kind of just get a little bit more personal. I love doing the guests. That's my passion, getting to share other people's stories. But I think this kind of gives me the opportunity to kind of paint my picture a little bit more in depth. If this works out, like I said, I'm just not really sure which way I want to put it. If I'm going to make it an actual episode or if I'm going to call it like mini episodes or solo episode. I don't know. Again, shoot me some feedback. I'd really appreciate it. Thank you guys so much for taking the time to listen to me. And all love, man.